Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little dose of reality.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Rants. I'm your host, Steve Malloy, and if you're a Dolphin fan, I know why you're here. You're here for a little dose of reality. Well, thank you for joining us tonight here on Real Talk Rants. I see Caps in the house. Appreciate you, brother. Um, as you're coming in, please hit that like button. And also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. And I appreciate you all for joining us tonight. Now, we're going to have a lot to talk about tonight. Before we get to the topic I wanted to talk about specifically, which was the biggest question for the Miami Dolphins heading into the 2024 season, I want to talk a little bit about the Tua ongoing contract. We got Javon Holland is coming up for a contract, Jalen Phillips. Then there's been talk of Tyreek. We've heard Tyreek. He says the money's not important to him. Super Bowl is on his mind, but I think he wants some guaranteed monies because he doesn't have any guaranteed monies next year. Okay, he's getting paid this year is $23 million, but he doesn't have any guaranteed monies next year. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, I wanted to make mention. Number one, my week has really been going pretty well so far. And I know it's only Tuesday, but had a great time last week. As you know, I did the first premiere show of the Real Talk Rants here on the Fins Talk Sports Network. So I was so happy to do it in my home state, South Florida. I was able to do that in South Florida. What a show to start, a premiere show down in South Florida, where I'm from, born and bred. And I was just tickled to death about that, to do that. And one of my goals when I got to South Florida, of course, we visited family and had some good time, broke bread with family and everything. Got to see my nieces and my nephew and sister-in-law and mother-in-law and all the family folks that are down there. And I also was able to meet up with the one and only Dolphins Thirsty. We got to meet up down there in Davie, Florida. He was with me on the Real Talk Fins show that we did together. We did that for almost 3 years. And I want to welcome Lo-Fi's in here. I see Tatiana's in here. I probably messed up her name. And of course, Bobby's in here as well. So I appreciate you all for joining. Don't forget to hit that like button. So I got to meet up with Rob. We had lunch at Flanagan's down there in the South Florida area in Davie. We talked shop. We talked family. We just had a good old chat together and everything. And then after we had the nice lunch at Flanagan's, we drove over, which was a hop, skip, and a good jump, to Caneswear. Caneswear, as you all know, is a sponsor, one of the sponsors of the Fins Talk Sports Network. So I was able to go down there and I met Jeff, who is the manager for Caneswear, and Summer. She was at the register and kind of helped me around the store. I mean, they have all kinds of merchandise in there. Everything you can think of as far as Florida sports goes. Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, you name it, they got it if it's in Florida, right? So she showed me around the store a little bit. I bought a couple shirts for my grandkids. My daughter, I bought her something. And I even bought me a little something. I bought me a little plaque right here at Caneswear, which I think is pretty cool. It's a wooden plaque. I'm going to find somewhere in this room or somewhere, and I'm going to hang this baby. So I'm really happy that I got that. So if you're ever in the South Florida area, if you're out of town, go down to Davie. They're at 2655. Let me get this right so I don't mess it up. I know it's 2655. I think it is. Let me find it real quick. I had it up here just a second ago, so just give me a second. And yeah, they're at 2655 South University Drive, and that's Davie, Florida. 2655 South University Drive, Davie, Florida. Just go in there, introduce yourself to Jeff or Brett, who's the owner. He wasn't there. It was on a Sunday. And tell them that Finn's Talk Sports Network sent you, and Steve from Real Talk Rants also says hi. So anyway, so we got to talk Dolphins and stuff with Jeff and Rob and I, and they are diehard Dolphin fans at Canesware. They are diehard Dolphin fans. We got to talk a little bit, so had a good old time talking Dolphins. But now let's get to some of the topics that I wanted to talk about tonight. I am trying so desperately, guys. I really am. I am trying so hard not to talk about the elephant in the room, Tua Tagovailoa. But these people on Twitter and the media and the beat writers, they just can't stop. They can't stop gaslighting Tua Tagovailoa for his contract. Okay, RG3, right? He's a top 5 quarterback. He has great anticipation. Who was that? Kurt Warner said that. Okay. Then we had, I heard another guy I'm not going to mention. He's one of the beat writers for the Sun Centennial say he's great accuracy. He has such great accuracy. There's nobody better. That is not true at all. And I'll tell you why I know that. I've got some stats here, guys. I got some stats here about Tua's accuracy. Okay. Let me just show you. Here we go. And once we get over this and a little bit of the contracts, we'll get to what we were going to talk about tonight, which is the biggest question for the Dolphins in 2024. All right. I got it here. Just be patient and I will find it, guys. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where? Okay. Here we go. All right. So maybe it was the other one. We're talking about his accuracy. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, these are the highest rate of incompletions due to inaccurate passes. Highest rate of incompletions due to inaccurate passes. We're going to start with the least folks, right? The folks that throw the least amount of inaccurate passes. Number 1, Geno Smith. Number 2, Jake Browning. Number 3, Kirk Cousins. Number 4, Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson. Jared Goff. Justin Herbert. Dak Prescott. Will Levis. Josh Allen. Kyler Murray. Zach Wilson. Brock Purdy. Joe Burrow. Jalen Hurts. But Tua is the number 5 quarterback with great accuracy. Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ridder, Derek Carr, Justin Fields, Gardner Minshew, Joe Flacco, Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, Bailey Zapp, Sam Howell, Mac Jones, and then Tua Tagovailoa. 34.6 inaccuracy, incompletions due to inaccurate passes. 34%. Okay, how many quarterbacks is that before him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 quarterbacks ahead of Tua Tagovailoa. 26. But he's a number 5 quarterback. Now let me read off who has the highest rate of incompletions of inaccurate due to inaccurate passes. Deshaun Watson, Tyrod Taylor, Trevor Seaman, Bryce Young, Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, Aidan O'Connell, I guess I pronounced that right, Kenny Pickett, Easton Stick, Matthew Stafford, Joshua Dobbs, Daniel Jones, and then Tua Tagovailoa. So that's not accurate. No pun intended. That's not accurate. He is not one of the best accurate passers in football. That is inaccurate. Then there was another narrative going around about Tua Tagovailoa. Okay. Says you don't want to be on that list if you are a poor pocket passer. Yeah, that's true. But here's another thing, right? A lot of folks say, well, if we don't have Tua Tagovailoa as our quarterback, he's the only one that can run this system. And then I heard another narrative, well, there's only like 4 or 5 quarterbacks can run that system, right? Because, he has that quick release, and there's not a lot of quarterbacks that have that quick release. Okay. Here we go. I'll tell you, man. They were killing me. They were killing me this past couple of weeks with all these narratives. Bryce Young, he gets the ball off in 2.5 seconds. Kirk Cousins, 2.5. Zach Wilson, 2.5. Jake Browning, 2.5. Will Levis, 2.5. Dak Prescott, 2.4. Baker Mayfield, 2.4. Sam Howell, 2.4. Geno Smith, 2.4. Gardner Minshew, 2.4. Justin Herbert, 2.4. Aidan O'Connell, 2.4. Kenny Pickett, 2.4. And Kyler Murray, 2.4. And there's others. But let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 14 quarterbacks right there. But only 3 or 4 or 5 can run this system, and Tua's the best. Come on, guys. Use your eye test, right? All you got to do is use your eyes. It's not rocket science to see what he's doing out there and in his accuracy. You judge for yourself. Look at the Kansas City game. Okay? Look how many of those passes that he missed, at least 18 passes that were like way, way off the mark. Okay? And there was other games too. You see this. Okay? So don't let them fool you. Don't let them gaslight you and convince you. Hello, Dolphinaire. Thanks for joining, brother. Don't let them fool you and tell you that Tua, is worth $60 million a year or $50 million a year. You know why I know he's not? Because if he was worth that, why hasn't he got it already? Why is Chris Greer waiting so long to pay him? If he's the guy, if he's worth the big bag. He's not. And right now, number one, the best thing for the Miami Dolphins to do, and it's looking like this is going to happen, guys. I would say a month ago, Tua was probably, a lot of folks would probably say, oh man, it's a 90%, 95% chance he's going to get the bag. They're going to pay him. Right now, it's like 50-50. 50-50. And is he going to bet on himself? I don't think so. Bring Ryan Tannehill in. 2.5. He gets rid of the ball. And his accuracy is better than Tua's. But Tua is the only one that can run this system. Oh man, they were just killing me with these narratives. So, what do you guys think? What would you say is a fair ranking for Tua Tagovailoa? What would you say is a fair ranking? Can you put that in the chat? What do you think is a fair ranking? What? 10, 12, 5? What do you think? What do you think? He's definitely not 5. He's definitely not anything above 12 or 15 in my opinion. 12 or 15, mid. 12 or 15. Because if he was a top 5, he would already have his money. Trust me. He would already have his money. And I think what's holding this up is the guaranteed monies. They don't want to give him a 3-year guaranteed monies, because that's the real money. They don't want to give him the 3 or 4, 3 years guaranteed or 4 years guaranteed monies, that kind of money, right? They're probably looking at more like a Daniel Jones type money, 2 years of guaranteed money, maybe somewhere like 150, 160, maybe even high as 180, contract, but maybe 80 of that guaranteed, fully guaranteed. And I think Tua said no. Maybe not Tua, but his agents, have said no. No. But you think Tua's going to bet on himself? I don't think so. I don't think so. I really don't. I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to play on his 5th-year option. And that's the best for the team all around, because you pay him anywhere near 50, right? 50,000 or 50 million, right? You pay him a big bag like that, 275, 180 guaranteed, 170 guaranteed, anything like that. This team is not going this team is going to sacrifice in some area. I think it's going to be the defense. Okay? Because you got to keep players around him. Okay? You got to have players around Tua, or it ain't going to work. It's not. Okay? So, let me ask you this. Brandon Shore knows the real number. I say it's 48 million. Nah, Cap. I don't think so, man. He ain't worth 48 million, dude. He's not. He's not. He's not worth 48 million, man. You know how much he's worth? 36, 38. That's about it. 36, 38 million. He ain't worth more than that. Okay? What has he done besides stats? Hasn't won any playoff games. He messes up. He's done it for 4 years of his football career. The last 4 or 5 games of the year, right, are somewhere in between. Okay? Especially last year, he failed miserably. He really hasn't improved every year. He hasn't. Okay? In fact, he regressed last year slightly, just a hair. Like I said in my last show, he is what he is. You ain't going to get no more, and you might even get a little less at times. And we've seen it. Okay? He's topped off. He's reached his ceiling. Okay? I don't care how much coaching. It ain't happening, man. It ain't happening. So let me ask you this. You might be right. Baker got 33 million and won the division. You might be right, Steve. Look, man, I don't know. It's just my opinion, right? Cap, it's a fact. I'm just being fair, 36, 38, maybe. Nowhere near that, 48. No way, man. I mean, that's my opinion, man. It doesn't really matter. Whatever the Dolphins pay him, that's what they pay him, My opinion doesn't count. But anyway, let me get on with off the Tua topic, but I wanted to bring those things up about Tua that I brought up. It's just killing me the way these folks are gaslighting this guy, man. Anyway, Let me ask you this. Who's more valuable to this football team? Tua Tagovailoa or Tyreek Hill? Minus the off field issues with Tyreek Hill. But who's more valuable production wise on the Miami Dolphins football team? Tyreek Hill or Tua Tagovailoa? Yeah, I agree, Lo-Fi. Stay healthy. Tua has to stay healthy for sure. I'm with you on that, man. That's another factor. I'm sure they're incorporating that into the contract. Some uh staying healthy is probably part of that contract as well, you know. So that's I'm sure they're factoring that in. But so who's more valuable? Tyreek Hill by far. Tyreek Hill is the most valuable football player on the Miami Dolphins offense. There's no doubt. Okay? So here's my question. Would you rather reconstruct Tyreek's contract for another 2 or 3 years, have him on in Miami because he's not getting guaranteed money next year, right? Give him some guaranteed monies. He's going to be around for 2 or 3 years, you know, or pay Tua Tagovailoa the back and not pay Tyreek. I think I would rather pay Tyreek Hill, give him the reconstructed contract, the guaranteed monies that he wants, let Tua play on his option. Okay? That's what I do. I think that's best for the team. That's best for the team. Because I mean, Tyreek Hill, he's definitely a number 2, 3 top receiver in this league. Okay? So, uh Aaron, what was that? Let me put that up here. Speaking with KPRC's too, Aaron Wilson. Tyreek said, I'm also looking for a new deal when asked about the recent contract signed by other receivers this offseason. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I didn't hear that. I didn't see that, but I agree. I think that's true. He is looking for a new deal. Like I said, he doesn't have that guaranteed monies next year. Okay. And remember, we drafted 2 wide receiver, right? Malik and Taj, right? Washington, right? So we gave Waddle his bag, which I think was great on the organization's part. Okay, I like Waddle. He was a little banged up, and maybe he drops a few than I'd like to see, right? But he's younger than Tyreek. Not saying Tyreek's going to slow down anytime soon. I don't see it. Unless he was a little banged up, last year, nicked up a little bit. So he's a small guy, Um, I think we can get another 2 or 3 years out of him, even at 30. How's it going, Rafael? I see you, brother. Thanks for joining, man. But yeah. I definitely think that Tyreek can give us another 2 or 3 years, right? And regardless of who the quarterback is, let's say Tua plays on his option, and let's say and this is something that nobody's talking about, right? What if he doesn't? What if he just craps the bed all year? He just has a terrible year. We don't make the playoffs, right? But nobody's talking about that, right? They're only talking about, oh, we got to pay in the bag because it's going to go up next year. Yeah, but what if he doesn't play? What if he gets hurt again? God forbid, right? We don't want that. But what if he does? He has a history of that, and we give him the bag. Now we're really stuck, right? So let him play his option, and you got Tyreek around, another 2 or 3 years. If he doesn't ball out next year, and you get another quarterback, you got Tyreek. You still have Tyreek in place, right? Who wouldn't want Tyreek and Waddle on their team? How many teams have a Tyreek and Waddle? and a great running duo. Achan, Mostert. Remember, Mostert scored 21 touchdowns last year. Achan ran for 800 yards on 100 and something carries. He averaged 7 point something yards a carry. We were the seventh best running back, rushing team in the NFL. So don't let anybody tell you that Tua didn't have a running game. Are you serious? I've heard that. You know what I heard? I heard, CJ Stroud had a good running team last year. They were 28th. They were 28th. Who did he have as receivers? I bet you didn't even know their names until he made them. He made them the receivers for Houston Texans. Okay? Tua's not a top 5 quarterback, guys. Get that out of your head. Please. They're conditioning you to believe he's number 5 because I hear it all the time. He's a number 5 quarterback and he has such great accuracy. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. He's not that good. He's a number 12 or 15th ranked quarterback. That's it. And he's not going to get any better. Jesus, I know people don't want to hear that, but I'm sick and tired of it. Don't bring the subject up then on Twitter or the beat writers. Don't talk about it, but that's all they're talking about. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm just a little upset, man, to hear all these false narratives out there. Oh boy. Let's see. What'd you say, Raphael? Oh yeah. Texans had 2 rookie wide receivers. Yeah, exactly. Nobody heard of Nick Collins and Tank Dell until CJ Stroud made those guys. Come on. And he didn't have the best line in the world either. Jeez. Anyway, let's shift gears. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's the biggest question mark for the Dolphins next season. Don't say Tua. Please don't say Tua. Okay, we already know what he is. We already know what our offense is. They're not changing anytime soon. Mike McDaniel is not going to change this offense, okay? We got a limited quarterback. There's so much he can do. I know we added Odell Beckham, who's an older guy. He's not the same. He's been injured. We got Jonnu Smith. Whoopee. He might catch a few extra passes, this year or something. But they're not going to make that big of a difference. Trust me, guys. They are not going to make that big of a difference, okay? They're not, okay? Just watch the film, all 22, when Tua goes back to pass. He's 80% of the time he's throwing to Tyreek, okay? It ain't going to change. It's not, okay? That is the system that we're going to play, okay? That's it, period. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about that biggest question mark for the Dolphins next year. Who do you guys in the chat, who do you think, or what do you think is the biggest question mark for the Miami Dolphins next year? And then I'll tell you what mine is, and we'll go on and talk about it. What do you all think? What do you all think? What do you think is the biggest question mark for the Miami Dolphins going into the 2024 season? Defensive tackle and linebacker. You're on the right track, Raphael. You're on the right track. Anybody else? Lo-Fi, Cat, what do you think? All right. I'll tell you. The defense. The Miami Dolphins defense is the biggest question mark for this team next year. Okay? We already know what the offense is. As I said, we already know what they are capable of and what they can do and who they have. Okay? Minus the additions. Okay? Or, they're going to be the same. Okay? The defense. Why? Because we've got a new defensive coordinator in Anthony Weaver. That's why. Anthony Weaver he's not a rookie defensive coordinator. He was a defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans in 2020, which their defense was not very good. In fact, he was the defensive coordinator and the defensive line coach, which that's what he's been most of his career as a defensive line coach. So he spent the 1 year in the yeah. Cliff says the biggest question mark is Chris Greer. Yeah and no. I think he's done pretty good as far as depth goes this year in replacing some of the guys we lost. Of course, we went bargain basement shopping because a lot of those guys only got like a 1 or 2 year contract. Okay. But I think he did good in the contract with Waddle in the depth. And right now, I think he's holding his ground with the Tua contract. So I think he's. I don't really have a question, a lot of questions about him right now. Okay, now we'll see in the upcoming weeks here. Let's see what happens. But anyway, so he was the defensive coordinator, right, for the Texans. And then after that, 1 year with the Texans wasn't a very good year. First year, I get it. He went to the Baltimore Ravens, where he was the defensive line coach. Okay, back to his beginnings. And I don't know why, but he's also the running backs coordinator. I don't get that, but anyway, that's what he was. So here's the deal. Last year we had Vic Fangio, right? Everybody wanted Vic Fangio before the season last year. Oh my gosh, Vic Fangio. Oh my God, we're going to be a number one defense and all this kind of stuff. Well, and I did say, oh, slow down, folks, slow down. We don't have any evidence this is going to be a number one or number two or number three defense or whatever, right? But as it turned out, they did pretty well. He with the talent that he had, the base talent that he had on the team. I know there were some additions, David Long, Jalen Ramsey. There might be somebody I'm forgetting too, but anyway, we did have some additions. Oh, Cam Smith, we drafted Cam Smith. I'll get to him in a second and all that. But Miami Dolphins defense were pretty good last year. Okay. At one point, they were in the top 10. I think they ended up being like 15 or 14 or somewhere there, but they were a good defense. They were a pretty good defense. Okay. The Ravens, where Anthony Weaver comes from, right? Where he was the defensive line coach, not the coordinator, guys. Okay. It's a lot different than a defensive line coach, right? But Miami's defense was I have 10th ranked, but I think they were like 10 or 15 somewhere in there. Help me out if you guys know. I think they were 10 or 15. But the Ravens were up there. They were, in the top 10. I think there were 6 or 7. They were also in Miami's passing defense was 15th. Okay. Even with Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey and Jafon Holland. Okay. They were still 15th. Ravens were 6th. 7th in rushing defense, Miami. Ravens were the 14th. Remember, he was a defensive line coach. So they were 14th. Scoring, the Ravens were number 1. They for at least the points scored against them, they were number 1. Miami, 22. We lost big time to Buffalo and who was the other one? Baltimore. A lot of points scored in those games, guys. So we were 22. In the red zone, Miami was 28. Terrible in the red zone. And the Ravens were 2nd. Okay, that's good. That's good on on Anthony Weaver's part, right? Defensive line, that has a lot to do with the defensive line in the trenches. On third downs, Miami was 20th and the Ravens were 7th. So, can Anthony Weaver improve this defense as far as passing, scoring, red zone defense, and third downs? Okay, that's where we were weak in this defense. Okay, so I do have questions about this defense, and not only that, not only is he a first year defensive coach, right? Let's see what Lo-Fi has to say. We're starting over on D. Usually take about a half a season to get all cylinders firing under a new scheme. Woo! That says a lot there. Great point, Lo-Fi. Great point. Okay. And you're right. It takes at least 4 or 5 games. That's how long it took Fangio's defense to, and I know Ramsey was out. Okay. But it took him 4 or 5 games, right, to really get on running on all 4 cylinder, all 6 cylinders, 8 cylinder, whatever you want to call it. But this year is going to be a little different, guys. I don't know if you know this or not. Okay, we have a tougher schedule than we had last year, believe it or not. And the reason why I say we have a tougher schedule than last year is because we play some playoff teams, a lot of playoff teams, but we play teams that are sometimes play good enough to not be good enough, right? So they're like mid to a little better than mid. So those are the teams that you gotta watch out for, right? Like the Jaguars, right? Although I think they made the playoffs last year, right? But Jaguars, we play them right off the jump. Okay, the first 5 games of the season, or first 4 or 5 games of the season, are going to be tough games, man. I'm serious. I mean, we could lose a 3 or 4 of those games if we're not careful. Especially as you said, Lo-Fi, the defense takes a while to work to start running on all their cylinders, right? So guess what? What does that mean? It means our offense has got to freaking get a head start this year. They got to be good right off the block. They've got to be good. And I mean, they've got to play consistently good all year. Okay? They're not going to have a lot of these cakewalk games as they did last year. Okay? They're not. It's going to be tough. So, very good point. I thank you for that. California, how you doing, brother? Thanks for joining us tonight, man. And everybody that's in the chat, please hit that like button if you haven't already. And if you're watching on Twitch or Twitter or any of those other platforms, come over here to YouTube, hit that like button, and join the community over here, guys. Appreciate you joining. So yeah, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy start. It really isn't. Yeah, our own division can be a mess in ourselves. You're right, Lo-Fi. So listen to this. These are the new additions that we had on the defense. Not only did we get a new defensive coordinator, right? But we've got some new additions to the defense, right? Christian Wilkins is gone. AVG's gone. Xavier Howard's gone. Right? Brandon Jones is gone. So we lost some folks on the defense, right? And others, right? So here we go. At nose tackle. Now, I don't know this is a toss-up. I don't know who's going to start at nose tackle. You got Neville Gallimore, Benito Jones, Tier Tart, and Brandon Peely. Remember Brandon Peely from last year showed a little promise. He was undrafted. Then a defensive end, which I like the pickup. I like the acquisition of Calais Campbell. I think he's going to fill Christian Wilkins' shoes just fine. I don't think we're going to lose much there unless, his age all of a sudden comes up, it starts hitting him hard, during midseason or something like that, because he is going on 40, right? Hey, Kenna, thank you, man. I haven't seen you in a while, brother. Where you been, man? I appreciate you for joining tonight, man. But, okay, so then we got Calais Campbell, as I said, Chop Robinson, rookie, Anthony Walker. These are the linebackers. My bad. Calais Campbell was a defensive end. Linebackers: Chop Robinson, Anthony Walker, Jordan Brooks, Shaquille Barrett, and then another rookie, Muhammad Kamara. Okay, and we're going to be without Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Okay, so and these are going to be two rookies that are going to be starting or in the rotation somewhere, somehow or another, with the rest of these guys: Barrett, Brooks, Walker, right? The Kamara and Robinson are going to be in that mix, right? But they're rookies. They're rookies. And then you got guys that never played with one another. I know they're veterans and they've been around. I'm sure they're going to catch on, right? But it takes a while to build the chemistry. All right. And then we got cornerback, which is kind of iffy in my book. Kendall Fuller, right? The replacement for Xavier Howard, right? Which originally was supposed to be Cam Smith. We drafted him high, remember that? And he didn't even get on the field last year, and I got something to say about him too. But Kendall Fuller, he got beat. He had 9 touchdowns scored against him last year. Okay, is that going to carry over to the Miami Dolphins? I hope not. I hope not. See, we're living on hope again. And then we got, as I said, Cam Smith, Ethan Bonner, another undrafted guy. He played a little bit. He played a little bit in the playoffs. Speedy guy, one of the fastest guys on the team, but he's undrafted. He's never played, a full season as a starter. So those are questions, right? Lo-Fi says Fuller is an upgrade over X. Oh man, I don't know, Lo-Fi. Possibly, yes, possibly. Maybe a slight edge, but X didn't have a lot of TD scored against them, right? He didn't. And then you got Saran Neal, who's probably going to be more of a special teams guy, ace, right? In safety, we got Jordan Poyer, who's an older guy. Didn't really have a great season with the Buffalo Bills last year, right? He's coming in here playing with Jafon Holland, who, in my opinion, Jafon Holland has a lot to prove. He's shown flashes that he can be, good, but he was injured last year as well. But he hasn't lived up to his potential. When we first drafted him, I thought he was going to be a star. I thought he was a rising star. What is it? His fourth year now? Fourth year? Okay. How long is it going to take before we see the full potential of him? And he wants his money. He wants his money too. Is Chris Greer going to pay him? And then Jalen Phillips, who's hurt last year. Is he going to pay him? Or is he going to let it play out on his 5th-year option, right? Both him and Holland. He's going to let him play it out or what? So, a lot of questions on this defense. So, Jordan Poyer and Marcus May, another veteran. Another veteran that's been around. Okay? He's probably a death piece. Or if he beats out Poyer, then we got a problem in Houston, right? But so that's what I think. I think we got a lot of questions on this defense, man. A lot of new players, a new coordinator. Look, he's coming from Baltimore. They had a great, they had a really good defense, number one defense, or top, not number one, but top five, six, seven, or something like that. But they had a really good defense. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is something that the Miami Dolphins is lacking, okay, all around, okay, offense and defense, physicality. Physicality. Baltimore had physicality. Buffalo had physicality. The Chiefs had physicality. We don't have physicality on offense and defense. We don't. We might have one or two players. That's it. Okay? That's it. So it's going to be a tough season. Let's see. If you go by PFF, Fuller, an 83 and X was 55. Even if you don't like PFF, the number spread makes you go hum. No, I agree. And I do like PFF, and I'm glad you brought that up. I do like PFF. I really do. See, this is PFF is not the gospel, but it does, and I've said this many times. It gives you an indication of the production and performance of the player. Okay, so I do agree he might be a little better, an upgrade. Okay, but here's the thing: is Fuller got a lot. That's the only thing that I don't like. Okay, he may be a good coverage guy, good tackler and all that, but he gives up that big play, right? He gives up that touchdown. All right. And and unfortunately, that's what counts in the game of football. Who wins, right? Who scores the most? So that's a very important factor to consider. Although I do agree, I like PFF, and no doubt, he probably performed very well, with the exception of him giving up the touchdowns. Kenna, let's see, what did Kenna have to say? With Ramsey on the other, is Fuller will get twice the look this year coming up. So if you think twice about Fuller's numbers in Washington, you should be worried. Yeah, absolutely. Great point. And here's the thing about Ramsey, right? He's an older guy. Now he's pushing 30. Okay. So he's an older guy. He was banged up last year. He's been banged up before. Okay. And they're going to give him more of a role this year. So they've said, right? They're going to give him more of a role. So is his body going to be able to handle all of that? Moving around and those and that kind of thing? Those, moving him around in the defense? That's the question I have with Jalen Ramsey. And Jalen Ramsey, to be honest, I don't think he had such a great year. I really don't. I know people say, well, they didn't throw to him. They just left him on that one side. Okay. All right. What if they would have moved him? Then what? Would we have gotten eaten up alive even more than we did? And because what was our passing defense was 15th. So mid-range, right? So good point, Kenna. Good point. Yeah, so I do have those questions on the defense, man. And you guys should too. Okay? It's not going to be a cakewalk this year, fellas and gals. It's not. It really isn't. He probably infected Tua. Who probably infected Tua? I don't know what you got going on over there, California. But anyway, I wanted to make mention of the Cam Smith ordeal. Well, let me get let's see what Lo-Fi has to say. Ramsey not a lockdown like he was. Absolutely he's not. Vic defense was perfect for Epps and Ramsey. I believe it was. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. And if you watch that Baltimore game, when I think it was a Buffalo, or I think it was a Buffalo game Is either Buffalo or Baltimore. I don't remember now. Maybe you can help me out. You remember when I think it was either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson when he went back to pass, and I think it was maybe it was Dallas. I don't remember. I'm getting old. But anyway, it was one play where Ramsey was like the guy was like 5 yards in front of him, and the play was I think he overthrew him the ball, whoever the quarterback was. So I know it was only one play, okay. But after he got those 2 or 3 interceptions in the first of the year when he first came back off injury, what happened? Nothing. You didn't hear nothing more about him. Nothing. So anyway, Cam Smith. Now I have a source that I trust that knows someone that's in the Miami Dolphins. They're in and about. Let's put it this way: they're in and about in the Miami Dolphins organization. Okay, and the source asked that person that was in and about the organization, who happens to be on the defense side of the ball. It wasn't a player, okay, but who happens to know a lot about the defense side of the ball. Let's put it that way. They asked him or her about Cam Smith. What was the Dolphins organization's thoughts on him, or was he a problem? And that person said yes. He had a work ethic problem. What did Vic Fangio say? What have I said? What does this college bio and profile say? Work ethic issues. And it's followed him into the NFL. Now, not saying he can't get it fixed and he can't be better at work ethic this year, but that's another question. He has gained some weight. I know when I was at the joint practices here in Houston, he was small and he was hurt. Talented guy, but he needs to get his head right, man. And I know it's hard down there in South Florida. Trust me, I used to live there. Let's see. Kenna, what is Kenna? Kenna, I really do appreciate you joining, man. I haven't seen you for a while. It says, so if Ramsey is not what he used to be, how in the hell y'all think Fuller's going to make a difference? Bad signing. No, 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 no. No, Ken, I have to disagree with you on that one. I think it was a good signing. Who else were they going to get? Right? He was the next best thing, right? If he can work on, the not giving up as many touchdowns, I think he'll be a decent piece back there. I mean, who else were you going to get, right? Like I said, Chris Greer was bargain basement shopping. We didn't have the big cap that are the monies to spend. So it is what it is, man. But our secondary was a strength, now a liability. I don't know, Kenna. It's a good point. That's fair. We'll see. That's all I can say. Training camp starts here in what is this? Another 2-3 weeks. So we got a lot going on before camp. Tua's contract. We got Tyreek. Now he wants his monies, right? Extension or whatnot. Jalen Ramsey. What's going to happen with Jalen Phillips here in training camp and Bradley Chubb? We got to keep an eye out on them. I'm really curious to see how these the rookie receivers work out. I don't think they're going to get a lot of snaps. I mean, think about it. You got Tyreek, you got Waddle, you got Odell Beckham. You got Craycraft, you got Eazy-E. We got a lot of wide receivers, and not all of them are going to be able to get. I mean, maybe Odell has the same season that he had with Baltimore. I think that's what it's going to turn out to be. Will he make a big difference? He might make a few impact plays, right? Underneath or whatnot. But you got to remember, we're a quarterback away. We still have the same quarterback. So how often does our quarterback look at the tight end or look at the players underneath? If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs game, I bring that up because that was a game that they had that tape on Twitter. I mean, the full game or not the full game, but all the bad plays that Tua made. And there was 18 bad plays, 18 where he overthrew the ball, almost got it intercepted. And you could see if you watch that film, all the guys that were underneath, his checkdowns were open. The two guys over here on the left were open. These guys are open looking for the ball. And what did he do? Now, he threw it to the first read. Now, there was a couple instances where he did make some good reads. I'll admit that. He made some good reads, okay? Made the right choice, the right decision, but he missed the pass. He missed the doggone pass. He underthrew or overthrew because they were covered. Or if they were open, they were just slightly open. And I'm sorry, but Tua is not good at throwing in tight windows. He can do it. He's done it, but that's not his forte, right? So if he was to throw 10 passes, like I just said, right, when it's really tight coverage, he might make 2 or 3. He can do it, but you have other quarterbacks out here making 7 and 8. See the difference? It's a big difference. There's a lot of context that is left out when we talk about him, like his accuracy, like his anticipation, like his processing, and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that anymore. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you for joining tonight. I really do. As I said, we have all this stuff coming up before camp. Keep an eye out on that contract with Tua, if he even gets one. I think it's a 50-50 deal right now that he doesn't get it. And is he going to bet him on himself? Is he going to bet on himself? And think about this, the defense, the questions that I brought up about this defense. Okay. I hope that helps in your evaluation of this team. We'll do some more stuff. I'll do the offense probably in the next coming weeks. I like to do. I did a thing last year on Real Talk, Vince Talk, where I put up the offensive playmakers like Tyreek, Waddle, Tua, Mostert, all those guys. I put up their numbers, what I thought their stats would look like at the end of the year. So I'll probably do that in upcoming weeks as well. And if there's any breaking news, guys, remember, I am not going to. I'm just going to come up randomly, basically. So keep a watch out for notifications and stuff like that. I'm starting to learn a little bit about this producing stuff. So I'm going to try to do some stuff on my own as far as producing goes. Bobby gave me the reins and he's helping me out with that. I appreciate that. So let's just keep an eye out on that stuff. And again, guys, I really, really thank you for joining tonight. And until I see you next time, God bless.